Hey, it's your boy Dre off the top here with a warning, but also a plea. So hear me out, okay? So the warning is, yes, there will be spoilers throughout this podcast for Grandia 2. But my plea is that you listen to this anyway, even if you haven't played the game before. Because in our opinion, Grandia 2 is one of those games that can't be spoiled by anything we say here today. The story and events of this game are pretty cliche, even for the time, and it's nothing you haven't heard before if you've played like any JRPG ever. So if you're a Grandia 2 virgin, we think you should listen to this anyway. But of course, we're not assholes, and we're not looking to spoil a game for people on purpose, even a game as old as this one. So this is your first and only warning to turn off this episode right now if you really don't want to be spoiled on a 25-year-old RPG. But we really hope you stick around anyway, per our recommendation. And if you have played Grandia 2 before, this show will be our celebration of one of our favorite games ever made. And with that, let's start the show.
Fine Time is about to blow your mind.
Hello, party people. Hello, Grandia people. It's your boy Dre, and I am here with first-time guest on Fine Time. I have appeared on his show, SuperPod Saga, before, but this is his first time on Fine Time. Aaron.
Hello. Hi, man. It's been a day and a half, but it's cool. It's cool to be here finally.
Yeah,
it's great.
I'm so glad to get you on here for this. Since you haven't been on here before, I want you to introduce SuperPod Saga to our audience who may have not listened to us on there, because I've appeared on their solo. The three of us, me, Steve, and Kevin, have appeared on SuperPod Saga as well. That was fun. So yeah, talk about SuperPod Saga real quick. Tell the people about you.
Yeah, SuperPod Saga. It's a funny, casual show with different video game topic each episode with different guests. And there's no scripts. We keep it totally free form, just off the cuff. It kind of usually boils down to like our top 3 or 5 games of whatever the hell the topic is. But sometimes we talk about like a single game series or something like that. Andre, like I said, he, Steve, and Kevin, we all talked about our favorite short games. Me and Andre and Thrak and Quest 64 Mike talked about the best handheld ports, and that was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
And then Andre is basically my co-host for my Patreon series High Score Heroes, because we love awesome arcade and hidden gems.
We do, and we love them shmups, baby. I love them. I mean, you're like my shmup go-to. Besides, well, Vin, I'm sure you've heard Vin on the show. I've known him for 20 years. We love shmups, but it's like I've talked to him about shmups for like forever. To have like one other person to talk about shmups with is a godsend. So like,
I know they're so niche, but so fucking good, dude. Sometimes I don't want to sink my butt into a 60-hour. What was your butt saying again? Like muddy butt or like
wet butt?
Wet butt. Sometimes I don't want to go full wet butt into like a 60-hour RPG. Sometimes I just want to go dry sandy butt to a 1 hour or less shmup and just blast some aliens.
The dry sandy butt of ruined Neo Tokyo and Shin Megami Tensei 5. All that sand right up there. I was really glad recently you asked me to join your SuperPod network. Can you plug that real quick? I haven't had a chance to do that on the main show yet. As of this recording, I'm sure it'll happen soon enough. But yeah, tell us about what you started before we get going on Grandia 2 here.
Yeah, so SuperPod Network, you can find it of any browser, superpodnetwork.com. It's just a network of podcasts hosted by probably some of my closest podcaster friends. Of course, you've got my show on there, or I guess 2 shows, because I do Retro Rehab with Jerry from Super Ghost Radio, who's also on there. Fine Time is also on that network as well, and Bar Silence, just awesome video game music podcast.
I love Bar Silence.
my God, it doesn't get any better than that Streets of Rage episode he just did, or the Bomberman Hero episode. Holy shit.
So good. It's just so good.
And yeah, it just a showcase of like the very best of the indie podcasting community. And like I said, some just really close friends. And I wanted to use what little reach I have to like help, I guess, boost other indie podcasters as well too. But yeah, we also do blogs. There's been a shit ton of blogs going on. Andre and I and two other people were collaborating on one kinda. And yeah, just superpodnetwork.com. There's a lot of cool stuff on there. Check it out. Leave a comment. I tell everybody every single day, make a discuss account so you can leave a comment on blogs and shit, because I am a psychopath and I'm the only person that's leaving comments on blogs, because I'm just like, hey, what if we had a community through the website? I don't know. SuperPodNetwork.com.
It's really good. I do think comments like that. You look at any. Just I'm trying to think of like
Nintendo
I don't know,
Life.
Well, yeah, like or Push Square, or like any of those particular like platform specific like video game blogs. I feel like they get a lot of comments. And I feel like that stuff is important. So I hope someday we can have that too.
Exactly. Yeah. Right after this episode, Andre is going to go make a Discuss account, disqus.com. It's free. You're going to make an account.
I probably already have one. I probably have had one for years, or wherever I used to comment before. Like I'm sure I have one already.
I think you need Discuss for CD Romance, so you might have one if you've ever left a comment on CD Romance.
I don't think I've commented on CD Romance. Maybe I have. I've commented on a lot of things. You know what I used to comment on the most? I'm going to reveal this to you and the audience.
Awesome.
I used to be really big into Last FM.
Ooh,
Bro,
okay.
I used to leave comments on like individual songs, on album. Dude, the comments on there are I'm probably embarrassed of them now. I don't even remember my username on there, but like I used to go ham on Last FM.
You're blasting my my nostalgia brain, man. I remember like when I first discovered the word Scrabbles. That was the greatest thing.
Dude, I was a big time Scrabbler for sure. Till we got into the smartphone era, and it just didn't work right anymore for some reason. But like, nah, dude, I used to. If I ever find my old account, I'll show it to you. Let's get into Grandia 2 here before we get too deep in the Scrabble rabbit hole, because
the Scrabbleverse,
Scrabbleverse, the Scrabble hole, because I think, put quite simply, I feel like this game means a lot to both of us. However, I would also say that both of us feel like it never gets the respect that it deserves. Like, nobody says anything like bad about it per se, but nobody seems to put it in like the upper echelon like we do either. It just kind of exists. So I think today we want to explore, as well as talking about why we love the game, that's what we're mostly going to do, but also explore a little bit here and there why we think this game gets lost in the mix. And that's basically the premise of this. Grandia 2, a celebration and discussion.
Yeah, exactly. It's so... I still don't understand how it doesn't have as much discoverability as, say, like Skies of Arcadia, or like, because when you ask anybody, hey, what's your favorite like Dreamcast RPG, like almost anybody will go right to Skies of Arcadia, unless you get like the one psychopath like me that's like, oh, what about Evolution? But like not a lot of people bring up Grandia 2, and it's weird because it's just so good, and it's not like it came out late in the Dreamcast life cycle. It was like, what, 1 year after the Dreamcast came out?
Yeah, it was like November 2000. So, and again, and you know what? Let's go there right now. Maybe that hurt it, because that fall into winter for Dreamcast, dude, like you said, Skies of Arcadia, Shenmue, like what? Capcom versus SNK, like everything was coming out, every fucking thing. So maybe it just got lost in the sauce somehow.
Yeah,
I
that makes
maybe that's
sense.
it. But the thing is, the reason why that doesn't totally make sense maybe is because the PS2 version, yeah, okay, it's not as good as the Dreamcast version, but still, it's a version that didn't really do a whole lot either. I feel like that got less recognized in the Dreamcast game.
That's true. And I know a lot of people complain about like the flaws the PS2 version have. But I guess like with as wildly popular as the first Grandia game was, I'm really surprised the second one wasn't as popular. It just seems like the only people that know about Grandia 2 are the people who really go digging for these games or really love this. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
no,
crazy, man.
I think you're right. I mean, compared to the first one again, which had so much hype, the first Grandia is a totally okay game. Okay, it's fine. Like it has great music and really good production value, but like as a game, you could do a lot better on PS1 or Saturn for that matter. I know it didn't come here on Saturn, but still. It's okay, but for some reason it has it over people and Grandia 2 does not, and I think that's strange. But let's go here for a sec. I got this game. I got Grandia 2 in October 2003, so like a few years after it came out. And Dreamcast games were still readily, you could find them in bargain bins and stuff everywhere. It was still pretty visible. And so I got one used at a Game Crazy. Remember Game Crazy? Holy shit.
Not at all.
No, really? Maybe they weren't a thing out there.
I'm gonna look it up real fast. Game Crazy.
Do you remember Hollywood Video?
Oh yeah.
Okay, they were attached to Hollywood Videos usually, always. Yeah, so it's kind of like the same company or like whatever. Oh my god, are you looking up stuff on Fine Time? I forbid you. Do whatever the fuck you want. I know. It's your comfort zone. Look up Game Crazy.
You're gonna ban my IP address.
Yes, okay. You may never use Microsoft Edge or Netscape Navigator again. But yeah, I got it used at a Game Crazy, and dude, this game had me gripped. I loved every second of it. And like I said, it was still, Dreamcast was already dead by that time, but it was still somewhat relevant. You could find games for it, and I'm glad I did because holy shit. So how did you first play it?
Yeah, so when did fuck it? It came out on that HD collection on Switch and PC, I think, back in it was 2018 or 2019, I think.
Yeah, I think that's, dude, I feel like it may have even been 2020. I feel like it was I feel like I played it during lockdown or something.
That's yeah, because that's when I bought it was 2020. It was sometime during the pandemic. It was on sale because normally it's $40, and I bought it for $20. I was like, yeah, that feels right. Yeah, fuck yeah, $20. And yeah, I played through I think halfway the first one, and it got kind of boring. Yeah, I don't remember where the fuck I was in that. Then I was like, well, let's try the second one. Maybe that'll be a little bit better. And then, yeah, the visuals, we'll get into that. Those are really, really good. Yeah, the second game gripped me, and it was just insanely good, man. Everything about it blew me away.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that because as someone who didn't, well, I mean, yeah, I played it a few years later, but I relatively played it within the generation that it came out. You're coming to it way later in a new form, not very new form. I mean, look, it's basically a Dreamcast game in 16:9 with battles that are 60 frames a second. That's basically the only difference here. And I'm glad you loved it as much as I did back then. I think that's great.
Yeah, man.
Just to summarize again, before we get into the nitty gritty, graphics and stuff and music and whatever elements of the game, I say this without any hyperbole, of which I am very prone to do on Fine Time and in real life. I think Grandia 2 is my favorite RPG. I don't know about best. I mean, that's a different discussion. It is my favorite RPG. Every single aspect of this game hits for me. Graphics, exactly what I like. Music, exactly for me, right? Presentation, voices, story, the length, NPCs, the writing, battle system, every single aspect of it. And that's the thing about RPGs, right? There's a lot of things that have to go right. That's why I think it's the most subjective genre that we have in video games, because there's so many things that have to hit for you. But when they do, oh my God, like it just comes together. And there's something very particular that I want to describe as I am wont to do on the show. So follow me down here and see if you can understand what I'm trying to make sense of here, because I don't think I understand it myself, but I'm just going to say it. Okay. So I was thinking about this. In the early CD-ROM era of RPGs, like let's say like TurboGrafx CD or Sega CD, right? When we were first doing this, role-playing games really took to that medium because it's like, okay, the characters are talking to you. Now we can have voice acting. We can make them talk, or, you know, we can have this killer music playing right off the CD, and, you know, we can go nuts with this kind of stuff, right? All these cinematics, right? RPGs were like the perfect medium for the CD-ROM. But then Final Fantasy VII changed all that shit. It didn't have voice acting. It didn't even have like Red Book audio. That shit was played off the MIDI on the PS1, right? They used the CD-ROM completely differently. All those pre-rendered backgrounds, all like the CG cinematics of like, you know, almost like a point and click game, you know, like, oh, this stuff is moving in the background, but you're moving the character here with your polygonal character. Like, it was totally different, right? Our priorities changed. So here's what I'm trying to get to. I think Grandia 2's art style and like the way that game is like the last remnant of that old CD-ROM style, because it feels exactly like that. We're East people, right? And I'm sure you've played versions of Eastbook 1 and 2. I just got done with a run on like TurboGrafx CD, right? And that's like the pioneer of that CD-ROM style. I feel Grandia 2 is the descendant of that. What do you think about my my hypothesis here?
That definitely makes sense, man. Because I'm struggling to recall like any PS1 RPG. Well, I guess other than like maybe The Legend of Dragoon that does have voice acting, but maybe not like it's hard to. Man, that I definitely agree, dude.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to throw that out. Those are the things that rattle around in my brain. Anyway, sorry for talking so long. You summarize how you feel about Grandia 2 before we get into the nitty gritty.
I mean, I think it's definitely. I don't even know what my top 5 favorite RPGs would be, but it'd be pretty close. Like if it's not like into my top 5, it's in my top 7. We'll get into why here in a little bit, because there's a lot that I really like about this game. Mm-hmm. But yeah, everything about there's so much. Oh man, I don't know where the fuck to begin. I mean, first off, it's definitely a product of its time with, you know, the goofy voice acting, the visuals, all that stuff. It's
goofy.
A lot of people I've tried to talk to about the game, they give it a lot of gup for that kind of thing, but.
You know, honestly, though, and me and Steve actually talked about this last year. We did a thing in December where we watched a bunch of fighting game anime from the 90s, and we watched the dubs on purpose. And that's the kind of voice acting here in Grandia 2, that like very 90s anime dub. Is that fair? But I feel like that's a lot of people, younger people, if you're like under the age of 30 or maybe right around it, you never really experienced that era. So you'd have to like have an appreciation for that.
That's true. If you weren't around for like to experience early, maybe like Shenmue or like Resident Evil like 1 or 2 with the campy ass voice acting, it's absolutely a product of the time. And I guess, man, there's a lot about the game that's so fucking charming also. Like the way that the backgrounds and like the environments are made, where it feels like it's just handmade, and the engine and all that stuff. The music is just fucking jamming and slamming, dude.
The best.
The way the character party kind of or not kind of constantly rotates in like different characters, and when they sit down for the night for a meal to like eat and talk, I love that shit. So it does not need to be in the game at all, but I love it so fucking much, dude.
That's so good. I love it. That kind of character stuff is like incredible. That's what I live for. You know, I always talk about RPGs in the sense of like people that you want to spend time with or that you're just interested in. You don't even necessarily have to like them, but you have to be interested in like what they're doing and what they're thinking or whatever. And that's like the perfect window in. I know it's like such a weird, like, I guess maybe a lot of different kind of Japanese games do that, not just in RPGs, but others. But it's such a good device. And I feel like if anything should have like remained from this game, like not everyone takes inspiration from Shenmue, but the QTE lives on forever, right? I feel like the talking at dinner at the end should have lived on forever. I wish every game did that.
Yeah, I know there's some games that kind of almost do that, like Final Fantasy 15. You kind of have that. Like Xenoblade 2, I think, has that. It's Xenoblade 2 or 3 has that, but we need more of that because I really like that shit. Or even if you just because I'm a sucker for cookie mini games, if you just go make your bros a meal and then you sit down to eat that meal, like, that'd be cool. But I think what's really cool about the game is it's almost like this in-between point between like late 90s PS1, because it's got like the look and feel of like a 1999 PS1 game like Final Fantasy 9 or Chrono Cross, but then it's almost like it almost feels like a 2001 PS2 RPG, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah, but I think you're right though. I think it's, like I said, it's the last remnant of the 90s, even though it came out in 2000. Yeah. It's the very last thing of its type, I think. Almost like, because I can never resist a music analogy. Like, I think of Depeche Mode's Violator as like the last synth pop gasp. Yeah, it was 1990, but that was the very end of the 80s to me. I don't know. I think of Grandia 2 is the Violator of JRPGs. That's what I'm saying.
I want to get that on a t-shirt so bad. That sounds fucking cool. But instead of like the Depeche Mode album, it's like Violator from the Spawn comics, just for the fun of it. I don't fucking know.
Yes. That is so specific to you. I really like it. All right, so let's talk graphics. Let's talk presentation. We have a little bit already, but let's get deeper into it here because one of the things, or rather one of the first things I noticed about Grandia 2 when I first played it was how they fully utilized 3D graphics in an RPG for what felt like the first time. You know, I mentioned Final Fantasy VII earlier, and, you know, those are like pre-rendered backgrounds. You couldn't really have interactions with them with like real modeled rooms and environments and stuff. Don't get me wrong, that game's presentation is cool. I think presentationally, Final Fantasy VII is like one of the best games of all time. Maybe not gameplay wise, but on a presentation level, yes. But Grandia 2, it's fully 3D and they committed to it. Like, we were talking about them sitting around the inn and talking. In that first town, when you get there, Ryudo pulls out a chair from the table and like sits down at the table. I remember being like, whoa, holy shit. We are playing with totally new rules here. Like, I know it sounds so simple to maybe like younger people to talk about someone sitting in a chair, but like, we have to remember, Aaron, shit like that simply did not happen back then.
No.
It just didn't happen. So to actually like see that and like animations and like them interacting with objects like that was crazy to me.
It is fucking crazy, man, because to bring up fucking Final Fantasies and other such RPGs, the same kind of thing. Yeah, you just did not fucking see that. The most you saw was like characters being like, here, take this item, and then they would hover hands over the other person's hands, and then it'd be like, da-na-na-na, you got a thing. Or like you would open a door, and that's, or maybe a table, I guess. That's about it. But yeah, this game, like, you can go into a fucking store, for instance, and like each item like on the counters or like each vase that's like next to a wall, like each individual item in that house or shop is just like, individually like handcrafted, it seems like, or rendered or whatever with the engine, and then just placed into that house. Like if they did went Animal Crossing mode with that engine in that house.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. It's so cool to see stuff like that.
Super fucking cool.
Yeah, because like the most you would ever have on like PS1 is like maybe like here's a table, and then the walls were just like a textures, like here's a clock or like whatever, but not like actual like 3D objects.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Animal Crossing analogy is actually perfect. That's exactly what it's like.
Okay, cool. I thought of that like last second.
No, that's but yeah, the character models too, they have this like very like stylized look. I think it's like they don't really have like mouths. They just have like the big eyes and like a rounded face.
Except for Merrick.
Yeah.
One exception for whatever reason.
Well, yeah, I mean you gotta model that out, the Beast Man. But god damn, his hair into his beard, like the whole, like it's so fucking 90s. It is so I get it. It was the year 2000, but that is the 90s. Like truly. I forget who did the character modeling for this. I forget his name. Sorry, I didn't write it down. But like Elena and Millennia honestly look like something out of like pick any 90s shit you want. Like Oh My Goddess or like anything like that, right? Like it straight up looks like that. And I loved it. I really, really love that style still.
Yeah, or like the character portraits when they're talking, or like what is it? When you go to the pause menu and you use an item and like their character portrait goes from like sitting still to like like their face moves for like a second, then it goes back. Like that's so 90s as fuck, and I love it.
Yeah. My favorites, of course, is when Zera finally goes berserk and he just gets more and more insane. His character portraits are crazy. I love them. They are so good. But yeah, they're just immaculate. Can we talk about the towns real quick? Speaking of graphics, because you mentioned them earlier about how everything looks so modeled, like handcrafted, not just the interiors, but I almost said the outeriors. That is not a word. the interiors and the outeriors are both modeled to fuck. I love. You can tell that they're proud of it too, because they do these like long camera fly-throughs when you first get to a town, and they're showing off every house and every stairway and like every waterfront, and like it's just like holy shit, you know what they're doing here, and I love that. And there's like a lot of good variety too. My favorite is, how do you say it, Liluge, the industrial town with the railway. I
forget that one. Fuck,
the guy's taken over by the Eyes of Valmar. He's getting really fat and eating all the food in the town, and nobody can eat anything except that crappy food.
Yeah.
Right, and then you take the railway. Nobody. He won't let anyone use it because reasons. Right, that place is like the most Dreamcasty town to have ever Dreamcasted. It is wild. It is the most Dreamcasty thing you have ever seen. If someone's making an indie game right now that's trying to look like a Dreamcast game, look at Grandia 2, baby. You're gonna get all the sauce. That's what you should be shooting for. The thing, it's a small detail, but I loved it. You know the thing in Merrick's Village where there's like a giant log, right? There's like the upper half of the town and the bottom half, and someone carved a stairway into that log where you just kind of go up it. I love that thing. I know it's such a weird little touch to remember, but like all those geometric details like that are so impressive then and now. Honestly, you can just see the craft in it.
I'm really struggling to think of what my favorite town would be, because they're all really, really cool. But there was that one, like whatever. I think it was like one of the very first towns you come across where you first meet Rowan. Well, the one where probably my favorite track of the whole game. That's a Gear Inn town, or whatever the hell it's called,
right?
Where that plays, and it's just there's that one. Like the inn is just like this like wagon almost, and then there's just maybe a couple other houses or something.
Yeah.
The towns are just the towns are all immaculate as fuck, man.
They're so good. There's some of the I mean, like, they got to be some of the best towns I've ever seen, just because like you can tell like they just went over every part of it. It's like it's got to look exactly like this. Speaking of Rowan, his castle is immaculate. Oh, the texture work in there is crazy. Yeah. Like, it's so good. The texture work in general is really good. Whenever you get to a Valmar seal and all that like weird like lines out from the what would you call it, the impact point, I guess, or whatever. Like, I love Pretty that much. Style of art. You know?
Yeah, dude. And it's also figure out how to word this the best way. It's weird how like this game, this like what is it? It was either 2000 or this game either came out 99 or 2000. Yeah, it's the character models are just insanely, ridiculously fucking textured and detailed. So if you go to like Final Fantasy X, a game that came out on the PlayStation 2 like 1 year later, like the character models, sure, they look more humanoid and less like disfigured, I guess.
Super deformed, maybe a little super deformed style in here.
Yeah, like they look more human-like in Final Fantasy X. Sure, that's cool, but like in Grandia 2, like every single part of each character model is so wildly detailed and just ridiculously cool. From like what was it, Merig's, like the little trinkets and like little like rivets and shit on like Merig's armor, to like Ryudo's swords, how you can see like the little etches of different runes or whatever in his swords, or like the little buckles in his fucking pants and shirts, down to like how skirts on like Elena and Millennia, they have like this little tinge of transparency to them, and like those little tiny puff balls at the end of Elena's dresses and stuff, man. They didn't need to do that at all. They could have just done Final Fantasy X and just made everything blend together like just like Play-Doh, just like blend it all together. But they were like, nope, we're going to individually render each thing and make it look great. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, the polygon budget, whatever it was for Dreamcast, I don't know how much you could put on screen at once, but they definitely hit the top of it, because, man, everything is detailed. It almost reminds me of like you know how like fighting games back in the day were always like the best looking games, because it's like you have two characters in a background. That's all you had to render. So you just pour all this detail into all the characters. It almost reminds me of that, but an RPG. It's so detailed. You are correct.
Yeah.
And of course, that ties back into the texture work. Let's talk about what is probably my favorite thing about the game. I'm not even going to lie. It's the fact that during battle, and we'll talk about battle system in a bit, but the FMV, what this game does with FMV is crazy. So like almost every spell, there's some real-time effects too, like burn or whatever, the basic fireball spell, but most of them have a full motion video overlaid on top of the real-time graphics to display the spell. Or sometimes they cut to like a whole scene, like a whole CGI or animated scene, and then it blends back with the real-time graphics by striking just the right camera angle to make it look like it's there. Aaron, I don't think I've ever seen any game do something like this. This is like seriously one of the most unique things I have ever seen. Okay, tell me what you thought a few years ago. You played this for the first time more recently than me. Did you ever expect anything like this? Like, did you look at this and be like, what? I'm just seeing an FMV now? Or take me through that if you can remember.
I didn't expect a whole lot from the spells, like at all, coming from like Grandia 1, where it was just like when you cast Quake, it just makes the screen shake and then the ground opens up and then boom, damage numbers. Well, like, in this game you get Merig to learn whatever the fuck his buff move is, and he's just, I forget what the fuck he says, but then it goes through this whole fireball shooting into the sky, then it turns into a fire dragon swirling around and it shoots back down to everybody, and you get a cool damage boost, and it's like, well, whatever the fuck that was awesome.
It's fucking wild.
Or Tio's tornado, I think is what it's called. It's like I think one of her like techniques or moves is called tornado, and it's just this gigantic whirlwind, and then it shoots up to you see this sky and this like big ass like FMV cutscene, and it's just gigantic. The enemies fly up there, and then they fall to the ground, and then they take wild amounts of damage and die, and it's like, I win.
It's so crazy, man.
It's so fucking cool.
And audience, think about the first thing Aaron said. He's talking about a dragon, a fire dragon, FMV, going way up in the sky and blasting down on the battlefield for an attack buff. An attack buff. Yeah, a +1 attack buff. That's how hard this game goes on stuff. Dude, what about the poison? You know the poison shows the forest, right? And then the green shit comes out of the swamp or whatever, and then like goes on the field. It's like a bunch of blobs, and it's like poof, and it's like, that's just for poison. Holy shit. It's incredible.
The one for it's like Dragon Zap, or I forget what I'm pretty sure it's like Dragon
Gad Zap, maybe, or
that sounds right. The last form of Zap, where it's just like you see like the lightning or whatever in the sky kind of like crackle a little teeny bit, and then it shoots down a ball of lightning, and that ball of lightning crashes into the ground, and then it zaps the enemies in this like continuous circle. It's like, wow, you definitely didn't need to. I was expecting like Pokemon Sapphire, like Thunderbolt, just bam, makes a circle, and then they take damage. But yeah, they go way too hard, and I love it.
It's incredible, man. Oh, one of my favorite ones is Burn Strike with the Firebirds. Yes. Oh god, it's so good. Yeah, it's a fire spell done to one enemy where it's just like all these Firebirds appear with this kind of screech in the sky. I love that sound. It sounds like something out of a 70s sci-fi movie, that sound. I love it. And then they show all these Firebirds, boom, 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 one by one, just smashing on this whoever you targeted with it. I love doing that to a boss because it's so good, man. If anything, I can't believe just this aspect of the game, Aaron, isn't talked about more. It's crazy. Because we were talking about like a legacy, like games that maybe aren't that popular, but like they leave something behind. This should have been it. And nobody seems to give a shit how cool this was. Like, I get it. Final Fantasy games were doing summons and shit in real time, but that shit was like PS1 polygons at like 15 frames a second. These were like full ass CGI overlays mixed with like real time. I've legitimately never seen anything like this before.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Like, I love Final Fantasy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to say that all other games are shit, but like, fuck, when you cast like a Blizzaga and you see Vivi just go like hiya, and then the enemy just kind of freezes and takes damage numbers. That's not shit compared to, I forget the name of the spell from Grandia 2, but it's basically Crackle, maybe. I think so. It's the last form of that. Basically, like this gigantic spiky ball of ice just flies out of the sky and just lands on the enemies and decimates them. Like that's insanely cool. It's so fucking cool.
It's so good with all the misty ice particle like afterwards and stuff. Like, yeah.
Dude.
I love that the attack up is called WoW in all caps. WoW. And like the sleep spell is called like shh. I think it's called shh. It's so weird. I love the spell names, basically, is what I'm saying.
Some of them kind of don't make sense though, like I think it's called Fiora, where it like blocks moves or magic or something. That took me a while to really understand what the fuck that move was doing to anybody.
Yeah, why is it called Fiora? It's so weird. Right? Oh god, that's so annoying when the enemy does it to you. Holy fuck. It's so obnoxious.
And I love how all ice moves, or not ice moves, I love how all ice spells, so each element of spell is represented by a different little icon. Like fire is like a little fireball, earth is like a little rock, but ice spells are represented by a little snowman, and he's adorable and I love him. We must protect him.
I love that one spell Rowan has, speaking of ice, where it's like a big snowball He's like, it's an early winter, and he just like tosses this huge, and it's like, this doesn't even do that much damage. It doesn't like freeze him or anything. Yeah. Oh yeah, it does cancel. It does cancel. That is very useful in this game, as we'll get to. One more thing about the FMV spells before we move on. You know the wind spell Howl, where it's like all those cutting discs are in the air, and it's like, and it just cuts through them all. That shit was a FMV in the original game. But in the HD version, it's a real-time graphics spell. It's like they recreated it, which is weird. I don't know what happened there. Maybe maybe that file was not available, or that movie or something, or I don't know. But I definitely did notice that when I played the HD. I don't know. It was a weird little detail, but I don't know. That's the HD version. That was one of the things I was worried about, because like the original game is 4:3. This new one's 16:9. How the hell is that going to work? It works out. They made it work. Thank God, because that is a critical part of the game.
You're in line for one more fine time.
Shall we let's talk about characters and story and just stuff like that, shall we? Let's tackle anything in that arena, because that's the heart of Grandia 2, is each character's growth and personal story arc. Everyone has one. You know, Ryudo's an asshole mercenary. He was closed off, right? Elena's the naive church girl, and Tio is the robot discovering what human feelings are. Hey, stop me if you've heard this stuff before. Sounds like standard JRPG stuff, right? But obviously, the plot points are not really it so much as how you like the characters and how you like those people and what they're going through. It's not really about, oh, I've seen this before, because, you know, we keep talking about how this feels like the 90s, this game. This is definitely 90s anime territory, all this stuff, for sure. And shit, if there's anything I like, it's the 90s anime. So
that's true. Maybe that's why we love it so fucking much.
I like that the game doesn't waste your time. I think that's the best thing about the story in this game, because yeah, it's cliche, but it doesn't pretend like it's clever or deep or anything like that. It's just giving you stuff, you know? I love that the opening intro explains the entire mythos of the world in like 2 minutes. Oh, here's the god of darkness, here's the god of light. They fought a long time ago, and now the earth is split with this big sword slash and whatever. They go through that in 2 minutes, Aaron, and I loved it because like I said, so many fucking games spend so much time on this shit and their prophecies and lore and whatever, and it's just like, it's never really that interesting because you know what's going to happen. Grandia 2 doesn't do that to you. They're not trying to trick you in that regard. They just, here it is. Now play the game.
That's so fucking true, man. I think now that I think about it, it's kind of a little bit similar to Xenoblade Chronicles. Now that I think about it, that doesn't matter though. Yeah,
it's true. No, I've played Xenoblade. No, you're right. They just kind of set up the world. Here are the two things that fought. Go play the game.
Yeah, it is really fucking quick. Right as soon as you get done with that 2-minute cutscene, what is it? It goes right to Ryudo, Mr. Geohound, Mr. Pusshound himself. And he's like, man, I hate work, and I hate the full Garfield mode. I hate Mondays. I hate working.
I hate women. I hate God. I hate everything. He literally does say that, folks. He does have a line that says, I can't stand God or women. That is literally a thing that's said in the game. It's just like weird.
In our chat, I think you sent me a message of Ryudo saying something bad about women or something, and we were like, God, he's such a cock in the coolest ways. Like, he's such a fucking. I wish I remember what words we used, but yeah, Ryudo is a fucking
you
huge
did call
douche.
him a cock. I remember the word cock. So you did. Yeah, again, going along with the brevity of the game, like they make no attempt to hide that Elena is Millennia. They don't even try. You know how many stupid games would spend like 12 hours? I wonder what's going on here when you already know. They don't even try to do that. I love that. They also don't really dick you around about Ryudo's brother, Melphis, and reveal pretty much right away that it's Ryudo's brother. You deal with him probably, like halfway through the game, and that's done with. So it's like, like that whole arc is done. It's like, okay.
And Merrick can smell him all the time for some reason. He's like, Melphis.
That smell.
I could smell his Axe chocolate body spray.
You were talking to someone who hell used that back in the day, dude.
Dude,
the chocolate was my
did.
favorite.
After those commercials where like dudes were just getting ladies after ladies, I think every dude in the universe was, dude.
Oh, I hell like the chocolate one, man. That was good. That and like, I know it's not called Spicy Dragon, but it's like something like that. It's like weird, like spice something. It was a very spicy scent. Whatever. It's called Spicy Dragon now. And
Spicy Dragon.
It's Spicy Dragon. I made a new, almost said flavor, whatever. And you made a new flavor for Axe.
Ooh, okay.
Anyway, I mentioned that game is under 40 hours. You can beat it in about 30, 35 hours. And that is fucking incredible. Aaron, I think there's so many games out there that would spend like 50 to 60 hours looking at you every Tales game on something like this, and you don't really need to. They just kind of trim all the fat, give you all the important stuff. That's also why it's one of my favorite games and my favorite RPGs, because like they just don't waste your time. At any point in the game, they don't waste your time, and I just appreciate it.
I know. And the cutscenes and like story segments aren't that long, which I really, really appreciate. Like you'll spend probably more time going through dungeons. Again, not trying to say that I hate these games or like trying to bash on them, but I cannot Persona, man. Like shit just takes too fucking long in a Persona game, and sometimes I just want to whoop ass.
Mm-hmm.
So I really appreciate how Grandia is just like, bad stuff is happening. Let's fucking do her tour, and then you're off.
Yep. I really appreciate that stuff too. I do like Persona myself. I do like very long RPGs. I love Dragon Quest XI. I love Octopath Traveler 2. If you have a lot to say, then say it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. However, if you're just going to be like cliche RPG anime like type of thing, don't waste your time. Give us a 30, 35 hour game max. And Grandia 2 did that. We talked about the voice acting somewhat already, but the voice lines, it's not just the quality of the acting, it's the voice lines. Whereas like any game that has great deliveries, they just live in your head forever. Dude, I hadn't played Grandia 2 before the HD version came out in 2020. I hadn't played Grandia 2 since that time in 2003, and I remembered all those lines. Dude, it's just incredible. I remembered one particularly. They have a line when you get knocked down in battle and you get back up. They always say something. A couple of them are really funny. Rowan is just very petulant. He's like, "Stop that," or something like that.
Like Tails, dude. He's such a Tails.
Definitely. That's definitely a woman doing a little boy's voice for sure, right? It's gotta be.
Sand. Ow!
Merrig, of course, is like, "You'll regret that." It's very snarling and fun. I love it. Rowan's lines are really funny in general. I love when he casts like, I don't know if it's like Hal NATO or one of those like wind ones, and he's just like, "You cannot get away with that." It's like, shut up, twerp. You little fuck. I mean, if some little kid said that to me and then I died, I would be pissed. I would haunt his ass forever.
Little bitch. One of my favorites that doesn't make any fucking sense at all is this one Millennia casts, or when she does, it's like grudging scratch or grudging claws. I forget.
Yeah.
Grudging claws. Yeah, she goes, fresh ground hamburger, and then just does her attack, but I don't get it, man. What is she grinding them to hamburger?
I guess it shows the shot of like the teeth sort of gnashing right at some point in that FMV, so maybe that's it. She's stirring the hamburger. I don't know, man. It made
some of
it
them
made
kind of lose me.
I never really thought about it until you just said that. Honestly, I just kind of went along with it. Millennia's voice actress is incredible.
She's awesome, dude.
Probably my favorite line ever in a JRPG is when she does any lightning spell. She's like, "Deep fried goodness." It's just the shit just happens. It's like, yo, man, that is some 90s. I should have done this. We usually do this when we do like anime and stuff. I should have looked up the voice actress for that. I bet she's like a top quality of the time, like anime actress. She has to have been all that stuff. Did you like any other lines in here? Tio's lines are really funny because they're weird, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, they're super weird. Yeah. This just, what was, Ice was like, she just goes, blue, and then she'll do like crackle or whatever the fuck, or Fiora or something. Or when she goes to do a critical strike, she just goes, critical strike. And like, I get that she's a robot, but yeah, some of those got kind of like phoned in and weird, but it's still funny. It's still fun. Like
the colors are weird, like you said. I think she says, like, when she does healing, I think she's like light blue. I think light blue, I guess that represents healing. Or really the weirdest ones is when she just says random numbers. Like when she does like I forget what spell, but she's like water 0074 or some shit. It's like, are you just dialing up a weird, like what does that mean?
She's calling up dominoes or something. Yeah. She's getting I almost said a 40, a 2 liter of like Sprite or something.
Sprite. Oh my god! If Pepsi came in like a 40, that would be amazing.
Oh fuck, man!
Holy shit! But
some of my favorite lines are Marek's, though. I fucking love how ham his voice actor went, like Beast Fang, God.
Yeah,
I'd be a lot louder, but I don't want to wake up my kids.
No, it's excellent, man.
Oh, what was his fuck, I already forgot what he said for the buff move when he does it. It's like, here now the lions roar, and like it's always the last word where he just like,
yeah. Yeah, it's good. He's really good. He was really good. Dude. RPGs basically need good voice call outs for spells. You have to have that stuff, you know? All the best games, in my opinion, have this because that's character. That's like half the character for me. I don't know how much you've ever played Octopath Traveler or 2, maybe. Never, or have you?
I got halfway through the first game. I haven't touched the second one though.
Okay, yeah, that game is really good at those. Both of them are, because they just all the stuff in and out of battle, after battle, during spells, after it's just there's so much to it, and that's the closest thing to Grandia 2 for me is the Octopath stuff. I really feel like, I mean, I don't know whoever if they were inspired by that, but honestly, it just feels like the spiritual successor of that. We talked about dialogue. I love that NPCs have a lot to say. You can keep talking to them like 2 or 3 times and they'll say new stuff. And the characters that are in your party at the time will talk back to them. They're not just talking at you. And I think that's like a Grandia hallmark. I think that's like one of the best things about the first game. So like the fact that they carried it over to this, I think was like cool. I really enjoyed talking to like every person in a town. I did.
The only one that really comes to mind for me for something like that would be like, no, I guess maybe not even Chrono Cross, because the only cool thing is you can just walk away from people while they're talking if you don't give enough of a shit.
Yeah, you can just leave. Yeah. Oh God, what game was that where I used to do that? Where you could just fucking go. Not just Chrono Cross.
I think Chrono Trigger, you could also do it. Yeah, you could also do it in Chrono Trigger. Yeah.
That's so
you could just start a conversation and then just fucking walk away.
Oh my God. It's like Chrono's just like, bye, bitch. Karma's a bitch. And it's just like, out of here.
Just shows up, motherfucker, starts a conversation and then leaves.
Bye, bitch. There is we mentioned some of it already, but there is a smattering of like weirdly misogynistic dialogue in this game. It's bizarre. What's that? The captain who like floats you around up the river or whatever. He said something to Elena one time. He's like, "Women should laugh. If you'll cry, you'll only drive men crazy." It's like, yo.
And I don't mean to laugh at that, but holy fuck.
No,
man.
it's like, but it's true. I mean, the year 2000, everybody. Like,
that's true.
Holy shit, dude. Man, I spoke about character arcs earlier, And I wanted to talk about one in particular that really turned the game for me, because when I first played it, because I already was enjoying myself going along, but I was like, okay, where is this going? How is this going to end up? And it's when you get to the town with the blind girl. Ryoto actually gives a shit about something for like the first time in the game. But it's not like made explicitly like, oh, now he's turning not so much of an asshole. You just kind of see it play out. And as you're going through the scenario, you're like, wow, he actually really gives a shit. It's not just about his mission or he's going to get paid or like whatever. He's actually giving a shit about someone who isn't himself. Or Elena sometimes when he isn't saying like dumb shit to piss her off. Right? But it's just like, I'm sure you notice the same thing. To me, that was like the turning point of the game where it's like, huh. So where are they going with it? That whole situation was pretty fucked up in general. And you get introduced to a lot of other stuff in the game, including that bitch Celine. Holy shit. I can't stand her. She is the worst. The lady with the knights following her around. The white knights. Dude. The literal white knights.
Dude, oh my god. And that part where it's before they summon Valmar's body or whatever, and Celine is like, haha, I'm actually evil. I'm gonna sacrifice this knight to summon Valmar's body, and then the knight just like T-poses off of a cliff, basically. Like he just walks to a cliff and then falls. It's just the funniest shit ever.
So weird. It was a very like Final Fantasy PS1 type of animation for sure. It was very like weird. Oh, dude. Well, what about like one of the craziest things in the game where she like kind of falls on the swords of the knights and becomes like, what is it, Valmar's heart or something like that? That was so wild.
Oh, that's another thing too. The fucking fights against the different parts of Valmar, those are so like almost like, I'm sure you've seen the movie Akira, the anime movie Akira.
Yes, of course.
It's some of the most like grotesque, like Akira-esque shit ever. Like, I forget what the fuck it's called. It's inside the body. It's like the core of Valmar's body or something like that. It's just like, it's these two tentacles with eyeballs on them, and then like there's this weird like sucker mouth thing. I can't properly explain it, but it's really like just grotesque and disgusting, and I love it. That is exactly my flavor.
No, it's really weird. It's really weird. All the weird shit that I know you didn't get to complete this run for this podcast, but do you remember what the very last boss looks like?
I don't remember.
So it's Zera, but he's in some sort of winged butterfly thing, and his head comes out of like the base. I don't know how else to say it. The vagina of this butterfly, basically. And it's like talking shit to you while you like fight it or whatever. It is so fucking weird and disgusting. It is awesome. I fucking love it. I'm
looking it up right now.
Dude. Okay, I'm going to sit and wait. I'm actually going to sit and wait. I want you to see it.
What the fuck? The little face. The little yellow face. He's just like, I'm trying to go cross-eyed, like,
yeah, and he's like saying all his voice lines, and his mouth is like actually articulated and moving, like during this, like while he like says shit to you. It's so fucking weird.
Damn it, dude.
Fine time.
I was already enjoying the game, like pretty much, I don't know, 20 hours in or whatever. But then you hit a point. I think it's basically after you leave Merrick's village where the game just goes off the rails, like nonstop. All that shit is over that we're talking about, talking at dinner and going to inns and going to this town and that town and solving the problem and moving on. That shit's done. Because then you are like, the escalation happens so fast. This is one of those RPGs where you go to the moon, by the way. And it's insane. And here's the thing, Aaron. By the time that happens, you're just like, of course, yeah, we're going to the moon. Yeah, that's of course we're doing that. Why not? We've done everything else at this point. We've done every anime-ass thing at this point. Of course we are. Oh, this is so random, but you know what scene I love? You were talking about where the knight sacrifices himself, but what about the part where Celine slits her wrist and the blood comes out and it runs down the mountain? That FMV plays, and then it wakes up like, what is that, Valmar's body or something? Or
yeah, all this like black goo shoots out from the ground, and then you see like this giant blob thing. I almost burped. Yeah,
burping is cool. Okay on Fine Time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that was such a cool fucking scene, dude.
Basically, all this stuff in the third half of the game happens because anime reasons. You're just going to have to turn off your brain a little bit and let it happen. Like that part where like Millennia, I guess Elena and Millennia are finally split, but Millennia is stuck in that thing with Zera. And then she's like, no, I'll save you. And Millennia teleports the rest of the party outside or whatever. How did she do that? With the power of love or friendship or something? Like, I don't even know how that happened.
What the fuck is... So... Again, with Valmar's body, or I think it was Valmar's body, it was some point where like they the party needs to the party needs to go to Valmar's body and kill it from the inside, basically. So Elena's like, we'll need some help from Millennia, and then she turns into Millennia at will and then flies them. She grabs the party like with her arms and flies them to the body. Why haven't you been doing that the whole fucking game? Like, why couldn't you just fly us anywhere else the rest of this game? How can she lift Marek, this big gigantic beefcake?
It's so weird. It's so weird.
It's insane, man. I don't know.
It's crazy. I don't even know. Oh yeah, I did. When that happened in my current playthrough, I was like, dude, I don't even okay. But that's the first time I thought about it. Yeah, ever. Maybe I'm just, the first, I was like, sure, whatever, just take him there. Okay. There was also a thing that I thought about for the first time is at the very end of the game after the final battle's over and they're just like in space. Because of course the last battle's in space, right? So you're hanging out in space after you kill the Zera vagina thing. And they're just like talking and chit chatting, and I'm like thinking to myself, you guys are in motherfucking space. And then they're like, okay, let's go home. And they just kind of zip back down to the earth, just like fly back. It's like, what are you talking about? You're in space. This is so anime. Does anyone give a shit that we're in space?
It's so cool, dude. Oh my God.
I love it. One more thing I want to say before we move on to battle system is about the linearity of this game. And I'll just say this and I'll see if you agree or disagree. Because Grandia 2 is a very linear game. There's no side quests. There's no reason to go back to previous towns. There's like no real exploration. There's like explorative, there's like big areas, from town to town, right? But that's kind of it.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, it's a very move forward game. Go to the next. There are other games that get dinged for being linear, like Final Fantasy 13, for instance. And don't get me wrong, I fucking hate Final Fantasy 13. Okay, I'm not here to defend that game, but I'm just saying it doesn't make any sense that people said that, because they said that about Final Fantasy 13, but they will sit right down on their couch and play the most linear AAA. They'll play a Call of Duty campaign, which is like the most linear thing you could ever play.
Yep.
Right? They'll never call that linear. And they might say that about something like Grandia 2 if they had played it, right? If anyone really played it back in the day. That's probably something we should have researched. Actually, I tried to look up sales figures on this game, and I really couldn't find any. Sales figures from back then are just impossible, So it's like, forget it. But however many people played this game, I don't think people would have complained about that back then, because there's no world map. Really, you just kind of select a thing and you go to the next thing. And even then, like I said, you can't really go back to a whole lot of previous stuff. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, I think we should give RPGs a break for not being exactly like the thing you played a million times before. I get it. Here's your castle. Here's your world map. Here's your whatever. It's okay not to like stuff, but I really don't like when people dismiss stuff for being quote unquote linear when they don't actually have a problem with that in general. That's my mini rant. I'll shut the fuck up.
No, I feel that, man. Like, games don't always have to be open world and have like 8 million fucking side quests, or like games can be linear, dude. I don't understand why everybody like, I can't think of a good recent example, but yeah, games can be linear and still be good, man. It's mind-boggling. I like open world games like I've never finished The Witcher 3 or Skyrim or any big game like that because I get way too fucking fatigued with all this, how much shit there is to do in that goddamn game. It's cool that other people like it, but
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will break you then.
okay, thank fuck.
that game. Don't play that if you don't want that. I loved it, but you know.
I guess like in this game it kind of makes sense though, because it's like it's anime as fuck. You show up to a town, they have a problem, you solve the problem, and you move on, and there's no reason for you to go back there. But yeah, I didn't mind how linear the game is. It reminds me a lot of like Final Fantasy X was linear too, wasn't it? Because you went from like town to town with the dotted line and shit. Yeah.
And there was no world map in that game, and people bitched. Remember, people, oh God, Final Fantasy X doesn't have a world map anymore. The world is ending. And it's like, nah, I don't think you actually care about that.
And then we get to Final Fantasy 16. Final Fantasy is not turn-based anymore. It's not a real RPG. Not my Final Fantasy. Hashtag.
I thought it was so, and I shouted about it on Fine Time. I thought it was so fucking insane. It drove me crazy that people were saying that about Final Fantasy 16. It's like, dog, did you play Final Fantasy 15?
Right.
Did you play Final Fantasy 7 Remake? What the hell are you talking about? We have been here already.
Have they not played the MMOs or like Final Fantasy 12, where it's basically not at all turn-based? Final Fantasy 12 is more like fucking Xenoblade Chronicles than it is anything else.
Yeah, and it's just like, and again, I'm not a fan of 12, but like, yes, that is exactly what that is. So it's like, I thought that whole conversation was silly, but anyway.
It's very silly. Yes.
Aaron, oh shit, look out. What's that behind you? Looks like a bunch of enemies. What you are hearing now is maybe, Aaron, the best battle theme of all time. Let's face it. We'll get to all the music later, but like, Jesus Christ,
it's hype as fuck, dude.
It's unbeatable. It's unbeatable. And again, I know I've been saying a lot of this is my favorite whatever in this podcast, but truly, absolutely, if I will probably never change my mind on this now and forever. Grandia 2 is the best battle system of all time.
Yes. Yep. A quick shameless plug. I just recently did an episode on SuperPod Saga about our favorite combat systems, and Grandia and Grandia 2 right there. I think those are like my number one because it's awesome.
It's so good.
It's so awesome.
So how do we begin though? Because there's a lot here, but okay. I'll start here. I'll start us off here. Yes. So in JRPGs, you have the traditional setup of like the enemies line up on one side, you line up on the other side, and then you fight, right? Because it's a video game. But obviously in reality, in quote unquote real life, it wouldn't just be two rows of people fighting. It would be like an actual skirmish, people running around, slashing and doing this and that. Helping out each other, whatever. Grandia 2 has that brawl feel, that like all out fight, right? Yeah. With people running all over the place. But it's not just for show. Your positioning and how you use it matters in a way that I don't think I've ever seen in any game before or since. Like, it's fun to watch, and it's even more fun to play. It is incredible. I think we can start with the fact that you have two regular attacks, not just like attack, but you have combo and you have critical. Combo is exactly what it sounds like. You do 2, 3, or 4 slashes or whatever your weapon is, and you do that. But critical is useful for how do we say it? There's an action bar at the bottom, so you can see when everybody, enemies or yourself, is going to attack. And so you can cancel an enemy's action, whatever it is, whether it's like just a regular attack or a giant spell. If you can pull that critical and get to them and slash them in time with it, it will cancel it out and they won't get to do it. Now they can try to do it again, but you can, that's like the whole soul of it. I think we should say that's the whole basis of Grandia 2's combat is doing attacks plus preventing them from doing theirs. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah. And then the what the fuck? The combo is really handy for delaying attacks as well too. So like say an enemy is just about to where, so the timeline is split into wait and then calm where you enter a command and then action, I think is what the last part's called or something. And when the enemy's like really close to the last part where they're just about to get into the part where they do their move, you could have an ally do a combo on an enemy, delay them a little bit, or send them back on the timeline. And then have Merrick charge up a Beast Fang, cut, and then cancel out their fucking move.
Yeah. This is so stacking those things is very key. You see, it's like, okay, I'm not really going to get a chance to cancel them in time because the cancel. Again, you have to physically move over to the enemy and then wind up and then do the cancel. So you also have to weigh positioning. So it's like, okay, if I'm really far away, shit, I don't think I'm going to quite get there in time, right? Or you can think, okay, I'm really close. But he's also about to do it. So I can do this little combo and the next person can cancel him out. Stacking those things on top of each other and figuring that stuff out on the fly is so intuitive that you don't need a tutorial. You don't need to watch a video on it. You just need to actually just play the game and you'll see how it works.
Exactly.
And it's so intuitive for something that is pretty dense sometimes. Okay, it's not Final Fantasy Tactics, right? But like it's a lot. And to stay alive in this game, that is the whole way you can do that. So positioning plus action bar plus combo plus cancels and critical, all that stuff comes together to create even just like the most basic fights in the first part of the game to be super engaging at every time, every single fight, bosses to just crappy, I don't know, what's a good, mooks.
Mook.
It's great. It's so cool. I love that all the spells are not just AoE, it's also like here's a line attack. I love line attacks in games. I don't know why. I do. Why do I love that shit?
I love those AoE ones that you could do where it just says some enemies.
Yeah.
You might hit them.
Yeah, it might hit them, it might not.
That's another cool thing too. So like other RPGs, you could just pick like whichever spell uses the most MP, that's going to do the most biggest numbers, the biggerest numbers. But in Grandia 2, and I guess by extension Grandia 1 or whatever, like you can't always use the most powerful spells. Like if an enemy is charging up a move or going to attack you, there's a potential they could delay and or cancel that spell and just waste your fucking turn, basically. Waste that character's entire action.
Yeah.
So you have to use your best judgment to be like, well, should I charge up like a really big, really powerful ice spell? Or should I just maybe evade and then use like a level 1 ice spell or some shit? Or like sometimes like if a character needs to be healed but your healer's about to be attacked, it's like, okay, well maybe I should save some MP, not do a big heal spell. Maybe I should just use an item because items are like basically instant almost,
especially when you get the skill equip where you can literally use items like so like instantly. It supersede everyone's turn. So
exactly.
It's so all those things you're saying are so like there's just so many layers to it, and you can play the way you want to play and have your expression about it. It's like, okay, these are the kinds of things I like to go for, and these are, or you can play very passively and be like, okay, I won't try to do big stuff. I'll try to like, do a lot of that's one thing that's really great about this battle system too, is that defend is very useful. Whereas I feel in most JRPG systems, they're not that useful. But in this one, it is, because it's like you can see the action bar. if you know you can't cancel something in time and they're about to do some attack to you, you can be like, okay, fuck it. Just let me choose defend here. And I'll soak it up and I'll get them on the next round because there's nothing you can do about it anyway.
Yeah.
So you may as well just like, okay, fuck this. I'll just hunker down. And the fact that you get oh man, every single thing just feels so considerate in a way that I just don't think a lot of them are. And that's not necessarily bad. I just think a lot of JRPGs in the 90s are basically just Dragon Quest. Attack, defend, spells, fire. And that's great. I love that stuff. I will love that stuff forever. I love basic bitch like RPG battle systems. I do. But when something goes for it like Grandia 2 and every single aspect of it works, shit. I mean, what can I say? Right?
And once you really get a feel for how everything in the combat system works, like it's just most of the time it's a piece of cake. Unless you get to a boss, it's a pure dickhead. But yeah, man. The combat system is just so rewarding and so cool. Like yeah, when you win a battle, or not when you kill an enemy and then they like spin and then disappear and then like a bag of money falls on the ground or like an item.
I love when the coins,
like,
the coin spill, poing, like it's so good. Or like a potion sometimes, like a poink, it just shows up. Oh, I love it. It's so video game. It is incredible.
Dude, it's so video gamey as fuck.
I love that shit, man. Yeah, if this sounds complicated, if you're listening to this and it sounds overwhelming, I promise it's not.
It's really not, yeah.
I promise.
Just play it.
Yeah, just play it. It's so good. I also have to commend real quick the camera work during battle because it's like very dynamic and it always gives you like the correct view of what's going on. Because think about it, in the year 2000, camera systems were not always the best, right? We were still figuring stuff out. So to have something this dynamic and actually have it work was, man, it's something you don't even think about because it's so good, right? Because
it's so smooth, man. Mm-hmm. Like you'll go from TO doing a combo, the camera will like zoom into her real fast, she'll do her attack, it'll zoom out, and then you go to I almost forgot his name, Ryudo doing the flying tensei can, it zooms in on him, and then it zooms all the way up to Sky, and then it's all so fucking smooth, dude. Like, I don't know how to explain it better than that.
No, it's great. Can we talk about some of the character special moves? We talked about a lot of FMVs earlier, but like, I really love some of the character ones. My favorite is Millennia's Fallen Wings because it blew me away when I first saw it. Because it's like the moon shows up behind her in silhouette and it becomes like a full moon. And then it cuts to like an anime, like actual like hand-drawn anime part of her sprouting her wings. She's like, this is my way of thanking you. And then it just like, she casts the spell. It's so fucking cool.
It is. It's cheesy, but it's so cool.
So good. It's so good. I know we keep talking about anime here, but if that were like the intro to like I don't know, if that were like some like Sailor Moon villain or something for the season, I mean, that's what it reminds me of.
She totally could be, dude.
Yeah. She totally fits into that, right? It's so good.
Yeah. That is such a good one, man. I can't think of the voice line for it, but I really love Mareg's. It's the one he does that sends out that like big fire wave where he has his spear, right? And he goes and then bam, right into the ground. And
Beast King Blast, I think. Blast? Yeah.
Beast King Blast. Yeah, dude. That one's so fucking cool looking.
I don't know why that actually has an AoE, because it covers the whole fucking field. It may as well just be all enemies.
Everywhere. Yeah.
I've never missed with that attack, so whatever. I love that little twerp Rowan. I can't help it because he has my favorite attack. He has my favorite attack because it's like when you first have him in the party, he has a attack called Dragon Rise. But he leaves the party late and comes back later, and then he has True Dragon Rise. And True Dragon Rise is my favorite. I love the voice clip. If I can find the voice clip, I'll play it right here.
The ultimate secret, True Dragon Rise.
True.
It's great. Oh, one more. I got to mention one more. Millennia's Heel Crush. because that's like the simp move because she does it. And she's like, betcha like this, you pig. She like steps on him with her high heels and shit. Basically the step on me mommy move of 2000.
Fuck yeah, dude.
It's so good, man. They all of them are great.
The fucking purple lightning one, I never get tired of that. Where he like Ryudo splits up into like 5? Like
4, I think. I think 4.
Yeah, and it's just like, take that and that and that. And then it's over. I mean, it's cool. It's dumb but cool.
No, it's so good. Yeah, I like the last one where he hops up in the air. It's like, yeah, slash down. Yeah, it's good.
Oh, and the victory animations. Millennia's victory animation is so like goofy, where she's just like checking. She's just doing her lipstick with her non-existent mouth, or Mara going. Bam!
Yeah, swinging the axe around. Boom! Nothing withstands my blade.
Yeah, dude. Or Ryudo. You'll have to do better than that to beat me, and he's also doing the same thing. I guess. Like,
I love it,
dude. It's so cool.
It's so good. I think that's actually the name of the song for the victory theme is like, you can't defeat us just like that or something like that. I think that's like an actual translation of what he says in Japanese, if I'm not totally mistaken. With my shitty Japanese, I'm pretty sure that's what he says.
I wrote it down. Yeah, you won't be able to kill me just like that. That's basically the same.
Yeah, basically the same thing. I'm pretty sure that's why the song is named that. But before we move to music, and we're going to talk about that.
Oh yeah.
I want to talk about dungeons real quick because I don't really know where else I'm going to. Because I think the dungeon design in this game is like perfect. It's exactly what I want out of an RPG. Because they all look really great. They have all these modeled like pillars or cave walls. We talked about the texture work before. And it's really in full effect in the interiors versus what did I say? Outeriors before. There's some light puzzling, and there's just like it's enough to feel like you're figuring something out without getting too stuck or whatever. And it's great. But the main reason why I wanted to mention them is because this is something that's sort of lost to time. We have to remember that Grandia 2 again, was maybe the first RPG of this type in full 3D that allowed you to rotate the camera and shit. Yeah. So, like, this was a really, really big deal that you could do this because, like, I don't know, think about even stuff after this, like Tales of Symphonia or whatever. It's like a fixed perspective game or like, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But Grandia 2 really wanted you to, like, use that camera, and the dungeons make you do that because there's all these like twists and turns and stuff, and the camera doesn't like keep up with you. You have to like manually like manipulate it to see where you're going, or looking around corners to see if there's a treasure chest or whatever. Like, I think all of that's like super intentional. And I think if someone were to play it today, Aaron, I feel like they might think like, shit, do I really have to do all this like weird camera stuff? Because like games don't make you do that anymore. But I think it's cool in this game. It's part of the exploration is rotating the camera and like, oh, look down there. There's like a money bag, or like, oh yeah, around that corner, there's a treasure chest or something, which you're not going to see if you don't rotate the camera. So I think it's fun. But I think I could understand if some like people might be like, this feels a little fiddly or something. How did you feel about it?
I think like sometimes I got kind of aggravated trying to figure out where to go in a few, but that's just kind of me being like, compass points up, I go up, but no find end. What fuck? But that's something too. So like the entire time there's a compass. I forget. It's like the top left or top right corner of the screen that shows you basically where to go. And yeah, don't ever try to just follow the compass through a dungeon. Like you'll have to go like up different levels and shit. But the dungeons, yeah, I think they look awesome. Once you actually figure out where to go, it's like, oh, duh, I'm a piece of shit. I should have just completed all the puzzles or beeped all the buttons, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really fun. See, like I've never had to like pull out a FAQ, or what would I have done in 2003? Game FAQs or something like that, and figure out where to go. I never got like that stuck in this game, but definitely be like, oh yeah, duh, I can just press this thing, and you know,
they're pretty straightforward, man. It's not like the weird orb puzzles. Not to keep bringing up Final Fantasy fucking 10. but it's not as like confusing as some of the fucking orb puzzles in Final Fantasy X.
Those were kind of hellacious.
God,
oh god.
damn.
Me and a friend
Like-
played through that game like together, and I will never forget us sitting there forever being like, oh my fucking god. Because like, again, we got it when it came out, and back then you didn't have guides on the internet the day something came out. That just wasn't a thing. So we were just like trying to bumble around like, oh my god. We did figure it out, but shit.
Those are just a big fucking pain in the ass. But Grandia, it's just like the end is there somewhere. You just need to open up a new pathway or just go until you find it. And then there's not a lot to them, but I kind of like that. Like, sometimes, I don't know. I mean, sometimes it's just good to just turn the old brain off and just blast through a dungeon, kill enemies, find cool loot, and then just be done.
All right, Aaron, it is finally time to talk music in this game because we absolutely have to. Again, I know I keep saying the best this and the best that. This is my favorite JRPG soundtrack, hands down. It's not even a question. It just is. And it was composed by a man named Noriyuki Iwadare, who I've been a fan of even before Grandia 2, and then when he did this, I was like, oh yeah, because I knew him from the Lunar games. He did those. Basically, he just worked at GameArts and just did GameArts stuff. So he did the Lunar games, and he did the first Grandia, of course, and then he did Grandia 2. After that, he went on to do like the Ace Attorney series after from Trials and Tribulations onwards is basically Iwadare music. And I know you're a Phoenix Wright person as well as I am, so
fuck yeah.
Yeah. So, and of course, shit, I mean, we love Phoenix Wright music too, but this game, Grandia 2, my favorite work of his. And shit, I think he's one of the most underappreciated composers ever. I can't believe he doesn't get put up there with the greats. He should. He's incredible.
especially for Lunar, man, or Lunar, however you say it. I know a lot of.
I don't know how to say it.
Immediately, I just go based off of what other people say. So I guess for now I'm going with Lunar until somebody corrects me. But I'm surprised he doesn't get more recognition for those, and yeah, for the Phoenix Wright games that are incredibly popular. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's put a shit up on Spotify, please.
I would listen to his shit.
Where I can get it.
I would listen to his shit day and well, I do anyway. I play Phoenix Wright music all the time when I'm doing my Japanese lessons or something. I like to have like background music. Phoenix Wright music is like perfect for that. It's good stuff. But
so were some of these Grandia tunes.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit.
Let's talk about some of our favorites, okay? Because one of my favorite songs, let's start here. There's in the adventure fields, there's like a couple different main songs that play, but I really like that one called Have Faith in Yourself. It's like the more upbeat one. This one?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know this one.
It just gives you that like adventurous feel, man. It's perfect. And it's like for like a basic like field of like grass and like fighting some enemies along to the next town. It's pretty fucking jamming.
It's super jamming, dude.
Tell me one, I don't know, what's your favorite song in the game? Can we do that? Whatever you want to say.
I'm stealing the one that you put next.
Okay.
In Town, a Gear. This is one of the first tracks from the game that I saved to my playlist on YouTube. I was like, holy fuck, this track is so fucking good. Because I really love me some chill jammy jams, and this one was like just like I tickled my lips a little bit on accident, but like I was trying to do the chef's kiss, and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
No, man, I
don't know how to be a human.
No, man, it's great. This shit's jamming.
Shit.
percussion. I love when there's like in music in general. I love when there's like real quote unquote the drums, and then there's like a bunch of percussion on top of it.
Dude, it's so 90s.
Yeah.
So incredibly 90s.
Yes. Very.
God damn it. I love this fucking track so much, dude.
I wish we could sit here and listen to this shit forever. It's so good. So, this is my favorite song in the game, and it's not the main battle theme, and it's not the boss one either, like when you fight a Valmar piece. It's the mid-boss theme. This one.
I think I know this one. That beat right there, dude.
Oh yeah,
Holy
it's
shit.
so good. There's something about it that gives me like that, oh man, here the fuck we go again. And not here we go again in like a bad way, like, oh man, I'm tired of this. It's like, get fucking ready for some shit. You know, actually, just one more battle theme since we're on these.
That's fine. Yeah,
The final one, the final battle theme is so good. I love the way it starts, and it gives you that like, oh shit, like it makes you feel like a fucking. Let's hear it.
This sounds like a Bravely Default track, to be honest, man. Holy shit.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Fuck yeah, dude. Holy shit. That bass line.
Yeah, oh my god. Dude, it's every... I'm sorry, I'm gonna invoke anime for the 14th other time on the show, but it's every anime final battle in the 90s I've ever loved. It's this song. It's every OAV I've ever loved in one song. I'm old, everybody. I'm sorry. Oh man, I'm sorry. I need to recover. Talk about one you like. Give me another.
That's okay, man. I would have also had another one, but I couldn't figure out which one it was because a lot of the tracks, we discussed this in our chat, a lot of the tracks aren't like in the official soundtrack or they aren't named for some reason.
Yeah.
But there's a track that plays when you're in the Great Rift that was really good, but fuck that. I instead went with the fight end jingle or whatever you want to call it. You won't be able to kill me just like that. Wait for it. Hold on. These fucking trumpets, dude. Da-da-na. God damn, you went so fucking... You didn't need to go so hard for an end fight tune, but he did.
Okay, whose voice do you hear when you hear this? Because I hear Rowan going, "We won."
Every time I hear that, I immediately hear Ryudo going, "You have to try harder than that to beat me."
And the sword
It always goes to that, dude.
Yeah, always good.
Those fucking trumpets. Oh my god, man.
Well, I had my own search odyssey, and I bugged you for it, and we both went on a search for this. But there's a song that plays. There's a scene where Ryudo and Elena, they have a nice scene. They get marooned on an island because reasons. And they have a nice little thing. The moon's out and they have their first kind of heart to heart. You know what I mean? Rito really gives a shit and whatever. They wake up the next morning after presumably fucking or whatever they were doing. And they realize that the big pearls on the island, they are not pearls. They were hatching eggs of insects. And then you hear this song.
Is that just a piano?
Yeah, I think so. Organ, maybe electric piano.
Yeah, there we go.
Listen to this shit, man.
Dude, yeah.
Listen to this shit. They went crazy. They didn't have to do this for like this one scene. I think it plays one other place in the game, and it's not even on the official soundtrack. I had to go digging on like what, like Zophar or Kingdom Hearts Insider or something to find like all the tracks in the game by number to find that. And it's like, what do you? Come on. You wrote down one more though that I wanna talk about because it's a song I really like too.
Oh, I forgot I put one down actually. Yeah, the Moon of Valmar. Yeah, that one's real jammy.
Yeah, it's so good because like I said, it's so wild that you go to the moon in the first place, and you get there, it's like, okay, what the fuck is this gonna be like? And you get this shit. So good.
Damn, space rules, dude. Space is so cool.
Yeah, that's why they spent forever there at the ending just chit-chatting about the state of the world before they just... it's just so ridiculous. They're like, okay, let's go home. How do we do that? Anyway, I already talked about that. I can't go over that again. But yeah, man, Valmar's Moon, what a fucking song. Oh, I forgot about that guitar sting.
Dude, so many of these songs, they have just ridiculous guitar stings. Mm-hmm. Like the beginning of the fucking battle theme.
Oh, it's so good. Just excellent stuff. Again, I hope you enjoyed our little showcase, our little miniature extended play. The music in this game is wild. You should play it so just to hear this stuff, honestly, if anything.
And we haven't even touched like most of it. There's way better tracks in it. I just picked like 3 that stood out the most to me, but like honestly, they're all pretty good.
Yeah,
well, not pretty good. They're all really good.
We're just scratching the surface here. There's so much for you to hear in this game. It's incredible. Just some random stuff real quick, because I don't even know where to fit this stuff in. How the hell did this game fit on one disc? There are so many FMVs, especially once you get like the game starts ramping up. And there's all those FMV spells. Like, how did that happen? Like, I understand how it fit on a DVD, a PS2. How did that fit on one Dreamcast disc? It's not that much bigger than a CD.
Let alone not having to like to load into it. I mean, I don't know how the fuck programming a game works, but like I figured, especially for the Millennia's wings, Fallen Wings or whatever, I figured it would have had to load for at least like a second into that like anime cutscene. But
well, it does load as they're like zooming in on the character to do the thing, and that's why they kind of do that. And then they say that whatever, and then but it's very short though. It's not like they're just sitting there for 5 seconds and then it happens, right? So
yeah,
it's very brief. It does load, but it's so short.
That's true.
It's incredible. But yeah, I was always amazed how this fit on one disc. The only other thing I want to mention is that Millennia has a rage system that they completely do not explain to you at all and never make any attempt to. At some point during a fight, sometimes she just gets pissed off and starts acting on her own.
Yeah, the first time that happened to me too, I was like, what the fuck is happening? I think, because what is it? It just has that weird, like, spinning ring thing
the red
around
thing
her
around
health bar.
around her portrait, yeah.
And I think it's just when she takes damage, or I don't know. Yeah, the game doesn't explain it. I had to look it up on Google.
I've never bothered, but I understood what was happening. It's okay, she's pissed, and then she goes back to normal. But it's like, dude, you just spent like all my SP. Like,
Yeah, and they don't even explain it in the story. Like, maybe she's just a hothead. I guess she has anger issues. I don't fucking know, man.
Yeah, it's weird. I think they show these in the beginning of the game, but also a couple times during. But you know those FMVs where they show the world before Valmar, and it's like this peaceful utopia and like all these like rock formations and stuff. Why is it always like a bunch of white people in the like these very ornate robes? Like East does the same shit. Like it's I don't know why that's always like paradise. It looks like a Jehovah's Witness pamphlet or something. It's weird.
Oh my god, I could see that.
I am sorry. I just had to mention it. It's just stuck out to me. Do you have any criticisms about Grandia 2? Because honestly, I only have like a couple. Like, and they're so minor that they're barely worth mentioning. But it's been all positive here. I don't know. The only real thing I could say I didn't like about it is that I didn't care for the boss rush at the end where you have to fight all the Valmar parts like again. I just didn't really think that was necessary to ramp up to fighting Vagina Zera. I just thought like that's his name now. I don't know what else to call him. But like it just stuck out like a sore thumb in a game that's so perfectly paced at every turn. That was like the only thing where I was like, okay, come on. Like, but other than that, if that's like the worst thing I can say about the game, like that's pretty fucking good in my opinion.
Yeah, I think one of the main things for me is that I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Sometimes the dungeons can be kind of confusing, trying to figure out where the fuck to go, because sometimes it seems like the game is trying to take you out of the dungeon, like out the way you came in, and that's confusing sometimes.
Yeah.
But again, maybe that's just my dumb fucking kid brain in an adult Aaron going like compass say go this,
compass say up.
Yeah, I go up. Why no dungeon end? but of course, there's multiple levels of dungeons and different doors and shit.
Yeah,
but
they're just pointing at the door, not how you get to the door, right? So yeah. I do like that they have that. They did realize that we have dungeons in full rotating 3D, so you can get turned around pretty quick. So the compass was obviously a great call. You know,
and you can press, I forget which button it is, but you can also press a button to have a point back to where you came from in case you wanted to go back or something like that.
Yeah, it's very useful in town too because you keep pressing the button to show different things, the inn or the castle or the shop or whatever. Like you can point to like different things in town and then go to it. Yeah, which is obviously clutch. The only other thing I can really say, and it's so minor, I really wish Elena or Millennia's like accessory and mana egg and stuff wouldn't get de-equipped every time they change personalities. Because I fucking go in, because you go into it and it's like, oh shit, she doesn't even have a mana egg right now. Fuck, I forgot. Right? I think it de-equips all her skills too. You have to put all that shit back on. I don't know why they couldn't just remember, okay, Elena was wearing this and Millennia was wearing this. Like, I don't know. Again, that's so minor, though, that that's like, again, if that's like the worst thing I can say about the game, fuck, you were the best game ever. You know? Those are legit the only criticisms I have.
Yeah, like I'm struggling to think of anything else. I guess, like, sometimes the number of skills that you can buy in books and the number of different mana eggs the game gives you is sometimes a little too much. But I mean, after you have like the same skills on a character for so long, it's like, fuck it, like I'm whooping ass, who gives a shit, I'll just keep these. And and like just keep using the same fucking mana eggs. Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, I think that's purposeful though, because it's like you can just, again, the customization in a pretty linear game, you want to have as much customization as possible, and that is one way to do it. You know, you can kind of trick up the characters the way you feel like the way they should play, depending on the mana egg that they have and the spells you want them to do and whatever. So it's I do like that, I guess, but yeah, it is a lot. But I understand why it's a lot too.
Yeah, like when I first played the game, I guess having the HD collection, I don't know if it explains how any of that shit works in the manual for the original version, but like in the HD version, it didn't really say what, like when you go to the pause screen and you go to, I think it's called like power up. I was like, what the fuck does any of this mean? And then you get a book and it's like, you can unlock new skills now. So I was like, how the fuck do I do that? And then I stumbled upon the power up menu again and learned how to do it. But I guess that's one another criticism I have is that sometimes the game itself doesn't explain how to do stuff, which I guess isn't its own fault because it wasn't programmed to do that. It was designed for you to read the manual to figure that out. So
right, there is tutorial guy though in the shops, but he just explains some stuff about combat. I don't think he explains like every fucking you know, I guess you could talk to that guy. I only ever talked to him in my original playthrough on Dreamcast. I never have in either of subsequent playthroughs. But yeah, I guess that guy, if you really are not grasping the combat, which again, we think it's easy to pick up and play, but really, if you need those intricacies that we talked about, he'll explain them to you, and they're pretty good. So yeah, there is that. Now, a lot of games from back then don't have in-game tutorials like that. So that's
true.
Yeah. Shed, I think I've said all the things I could say about Grandia. I think the only thing I have left for you is like, I would like to talk briefly about why we think Grandia 2 doesn't get the same respect as its peers. And we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but the Dreamcast, like at that time, everything was coming out. Like I said, Shenmue, Skies of Arcadia, Captain vs. SNK, that fall into winter was so packed. Like I said, I myself didn't play Grandia 2 until 2003 because that shit, there was so much coming out. I didn't play Skies of Arcadia actually until like 2002 or 3 myself too. So like it was just a lot, man. And for a system that wasn't lasting that long, like I kind of, this might piss people off, but I don't really care. I got to say something contrarian on the show, every show. I hate that we live in a world where Skies of Arcadia is considered like top tier on that system, and no one gives a fuck about Grandia 2. And I like Skies of Arcadia a lot. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to dunk. It's just that like this game is way, way, way better than that. And it's never talked about that way, and it never will be talked about that way. And I think that fucking sucks. Straight up.
It does fucking suck, man. Like, there is a lot of cool shit that Skies of Arcadia does, but there's also a lot that, I mean, people can judge by how much we've blabbed on and on about in this episode, but there's a lot that Grandia 2 does that it doesn't get a lot of recognition for. And it's, it blows, man. Like, I would maybe no, I don't know. I would kind of rather go for a third playthrough of Grandia 2 than go all the way through fucking Final Fantasy VII Slogfest, dude. I don't know.
Not a fan.
Final Fantasy VII is, I mean, it's a great game, but like, there's just so much about Grandia, like the combat, like it deserves so much more praise for the combat because it wasn't like everything else around that time was just fucking turn-based. Like, I can't recall any RPG or JRPG, whatever. I can't recall any other RPG from around that time that wasn't turn-based, because I'm pretty sure they pretty much all were.
Yeah. But I mean, like the fact that the turns and the real-time elements of it matter too, I've just never seen that. And although the only thing that remotely comes close to giving me that feeling is Octopath Traveler. And that is completely turn-based, but like the decision making there, the way you can set up stuff, the way you can go for stuff in that game reminds me a lot of Grandia 2. That's like the only thing that gives me that. I think, while being completely turn-based. And again, I don't have a problem with, I'll love turn-based RPGs to the end of time, and Grandia 2 is one, but that mix of that real time just gives it that flavor, that unmistakable flavor.
Or just like adding more to the turn-based combat, like Shin Megami Tensei. We're both Shin Megami Tensei fans. The press turn system is just so fucking good.
Yes.
The Bravely Default's turn-based combat, it's basically Octopath Traveler kind of amped up. Well, no, Octopath Traveler is that, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
You know what you mean, yeah.
Turn-based combat, but like add more to it, and I don't know. I
gotta get to Bravely Default too. I gotta get that on Steam Deck or something. I definitely have to get to that one sometime.
It's great, man. Like, yeah. It's not to get us even more off topic, but like once you mix and match jobs in Bravely Default 2 and you break the fucking game, because the game gives you all the tools you need to break the fucking game and become a fucking killing machine. It's so fun, dude. It's so good.
That's the great thing about Octopath Traveler as well. You feel like you're breaking the fucking game. Once you get that skill that's like you can do more than like 9999 damage or whatever. Oh fuck. Like you can really do some wild shit. Oh my god, it's so good.
We should do an episode on this kind of shit too. Like just do another favorite, like a part 2 to best combat systems, or like best turn-based combat systems or some shit.
I love talking awesome. that mechanical stuff. Yeah, turn-based. That's actually a good caveat. Yeah. Best turn-based combat systems. I think cool. That could be a thing. Anyway, yeah, thanks for joining me for this. I think we've said all the Grandia 2 things we could say. Aaron, thanks for coming on Fine Time. Finally, I roped you into Fine Time.
Happy to be here, man. Anytime at all. Anytime you need me, just flash the SuperPod. Just flash a chili dog in the sky and I'll be there. I don't know what my logo would be.
I'll flash a Valmar's the Valmar symbol.
The Valmar vagina
from
symbol.
Rowan's castle in the sky. You'll come here. Thanks for joining me. Catch us on Twitter at FineTime Podcast. Catch us on Blue Sky. The links will be in the description of this podcast. Also catch us on the SuperPod Network at superpodnetwork.com. We'll see you next time. Bye.
We'll catch you next time. This has been